If you're considering new construction in Idaho, buyer beware. So why am I titling this video Buyer Beware? Well, it's because I don't want you to lose, like other people have, up to $150,000 on a brand new home just because of a little clause in a contract. Before I tell you how that happened and what's going on, I'm not here to bash any builder. I love working with the builders, and we do everything we can to make our process as smooth as possible for our clients to get into a new build. Lay that groundwork first. There's a lot of great builders that we work with on a regular basis, and our clients are very happy with the final product. There are other builders who we haven't had a chance to work with who still put out great quality products. And then there's also builders here who are great to work with who do more of the production type of home. So depending on your price point, there are builders that will reach anyone's budget here in Idaho, or just about. If you're coming to the Treasure Valley and you're looking for good places to eat, go ahead and follow our other channel called Go Idaho Eats. All right, so how can someone actually lose $150,000 on a brand new home that didn't even get finished? What happened and how we came across this is we were with a client who was looking at new construction. And of course, they were smart. They said, hey, we want representation because we're not sure how that process works. Would you guys represent us with this new build? And of course, we were happy to. When we were going through the contract, there was something that caught our eye that we hadn't seen before in their contracts. And that was a clause in the purchase agreement that said, hey, you will owe us up to $150,000 if you cancel this for any reason.
What you talking about, huh?
That shocked us. We were like, what in the world? And so we started going through the contract and we started working with that builder who was fantastic to work with and really kind of went to bat for us and our client to get that removed out of their contract. But after doing a little bit more research, we started to notice that there were a lot of builders around here who had the same clause. And so we had a meeting with our team and we're like, man, you know, who else is doing this? And there's builders not only in Idaho, but outside of Idaho who have inserted this clause. The reason why these builders have these promissory notes in their contracts now is because they are looking to recoup some of the upfront costs that they've forked over in order to get your home started. Now, before the pandemic, you could walk into a new construction sales center, put down a $500 earnest money deposit, and then at the last minute say, I don't think I can go through with this house. My house didn't sell, or darn it, my financing fell through. I just can't close. And so what happened was the builder then had a home that was completed. All their upfront costs was associated with that, and they had to go ahead and relist it and put it back on the market. Now, the market's been really good here, so they were able to make a profit off that. But right now, where the market's like, what's happening? Builders are trying to protect themselves a little bit more. So for them to go out and start a project, they would just want to make sure that one, they are going to recoup their costs. Two, you're really committed to building a home with them. A lot of the builders, depending on your price point, they might say, hey, this is the amount due up front today. Here's the promissory note, but we're still gonna need deposits as we start moving your home along. Maybe when you go to the design center and start picking out your upgrades, maybe have to put down 10% or 25% of the total improvements that you've made or upgrades that you've made. Or you might have to place a security deposit because the builder now has framing up, and so we're moving along at that pace. So there's a variety of ways the builders will structure their contracts and take deposits in order to protect themselves. The last thing a builder wants right now is to go ahead and move forward with the home, take a $500 earnest money for a $900,000 house, then have the buyer walk, and then they are stuck with a home that is more custom to that particular builder that might not match what maybe the majority of the buyers are looking for. And so it might cause them to have to discount. So they just want to protect themselves, get some recoup if that buyer decides to walk away. So I get why the builders are doing that, but do I personally agree with that? Do I agree that my client should have to sign a promissory note to pay $150,000 if their house in California, Oregon, Washington, wherever in the United States doesn't close? You know, I just don't think that that's really right for clients to have to sign up to $150,000 or more, especially at this one, to pay that if certain situations take place. It just seems like there is a time and place for these promissory notes, but some of them are really high, and I just don't feel like that's right. And so that's just my personal opinion. I get it, what they're trying to do from a business standpoint, but man, life happens. Sometimes things are completely out of your control, and sometimes they're not. We have had buyers who just, for whatever reason, went out and bought all their furniture, bought their appliances before the loan got finished, and it didn't work out. So, that's just common sense, but, we want to make sure that you're protected. That's our goal when we represent people and take them to new home construction sites, or maybe, going into a resale home. We want to make sure that you're protected in the contract, and that if for whatever reason you have to cancel, one, it's a valid reason. Two, you're able to get your deposit money back. And what has been great about the builders here in Idaho is they've worked with us. We might not be able to get all of it waived. We've been able to get some of it waived. And in some situations, we have got all of it waived because our buyer was a little bit more forthright in saying, hey, our house is going to be closing soon. I can put down X amount. You can verify with the title company or the escrow company that all the funds are there. We're just waiting for everything to get moving here. So there's some situations that we can look into on a more personal basis to see, does this apply to you or doesn't apply to you? So when we were with our client and we saw that promissory note, we knew immediately, oh my gosh, I feel bad for anyone who has gone to a new construction site without representation, because I'm not sure if they knew what they were signing. They just electronically signed probably. And it just reiterated with us here that you really do need representation to go to the new home sites. And I get it. Sometimes it's easier just to go on your own because then you're not coordinating schedules. I tell you what, if push comes to shove and you go without representation, there is a high chance that if you have to cancel, you've signed a promissory note and now you're on the hook for up to $150,000 or more. Take the time, reach out to us here at the Go Idaho team. There's 5 of us here that are at your disposal. We will drop a hat in order to go and meet you at a sales site. If you just want that protection and say, hey, Greg, I think this is the floor plan I want, but man, do you mind coming with us? Or can you get someone on your team just to come with us just to make sure that we have an extra layer of protection? There's no additional cost to you for that. The seller's going to pay us, the builder's going to pay us. So whether you have an agent or not, the fee is already built in. So you're not saving any additional money by not having representation. You're only adding a layer of protection to yourself and to the contract when you have someone from the Go Idaho team, or if you already have a realtor, just call them and have them go with you. But long story short, we don't want you to be on the hook. We don't want you to lose up to $150,000 when this whole process of moving to Idaho is supposed to be fantastic. All I can say is reach out to us. We love helping you. We are an advocate for you. We are your relocation concierge team here in Idaho. Or if you're not relocating, if you're here in Idaho and you're just looking to get into that new neighborhood, you still ought to reach out to us. We do all sorts of purchases and sales here in the Idaho area, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. So hey, we're excited to work with you. We're excited to learn all about you and get you into a new construction home, but you ought to be careful about the terrible quality that you may or may not find in new construction.